Hey guys, what's going on? Just bringing you a video on a Monday night. As luck would have it, everyone's out of the house, busy doing something else. So I had some time, thought I'd shoot a video. I want to talk to you about something tonight, something that I've noticed. Talk about how tank depth affects plant growth. This is my 120, my big living room tank. It's got a 4-bulb T5 high outputs set up on it. Wisteria. It's got 3 6500K bulbs and white bulbs, and then one pink plant bulb on it. But this tank is 24 inches deep, so it's pretty deep tank. Light penetration, as most of you know, is reduced the deeper a tank gets. And so the further down in the tank you get, the less penetration the light gets and the less it gets to the plants. So I want to show you, I want to compare growth on 2 plants that I have in here with this tank and then with my back bedroom tank. And I'll explain the light setup on that, but it's basically the same as far as watts per gallon and stuff. This is 216 watts total on a 120 gallon tank. So it's not quite 2 watts per gallon, so it's still technically a low light setup. And then the back bedroom tank's 29 gallon with 24 watts, so 48 watts T5 light. So it's still technically a low light tank too. But you'll see here in a minute just the difference in the growth in both the tanks. Let's look at this. Here, let me show you this real quick. Alright, I'm showing you these 2 plants right here. You can see the bronze crypt right there. That's not actually what I'm focusing on. The one to the left of that, yeah, right there. You can see it growing up right there. That's cryptocoryne spiralis. I was watching one of Dustin's videos today, and he did a Species Sunday yesterday on the crypt spiralis. So I was taking a look at mine this morning, or this afternoon, taking a look at it. This afternoon. I just was just looking at the growth rates between this plant and then the one I have in my back bedroom tank. Now this plant, I've had it in here about a month, and if you look, if you can distinguish it between that and the wisteria, but you look, there's some new leaves on it, stuff like that. It's still growing all right. It's not growing too fast, but it still looks really good, and it's coming in slowly but surely. And then I want you to look at the plant behind it, the wisteria. This wisteria I've had in this tank for, I want to say since December. I think December is when I put it in. But it's been in there and it hasn't really grown up much. It's maybe grown 4 or 5 inches high, but it's spread out real nicely, almost like a bush, like a carpet. Not carpet, but just like a bush plant. And it's just growing out rather than up. Looks fairly healthy. Leaves are pretty much green. There's some brown leaves underneath that I could probably trim, but for the most part it still looks pretty good. It's just not growing up like you'll see it does in my back tank. I dose this tank with Excel daily. I dose with Excel. No more, no less than I do with the tank in the back, but it's just the tank is so deep that the light doesn't penetrate enough that it's not getting a ton of light, and it's growing differently than it would under high light conditions or higher light conditions. Still growing, still healthy technically, it just grows differently under different light conditions. Here, let me go ahead and take you back to the 29 gallon and I'll show you what I'm talking about. Alright, here's my 29 gallon. Alright, it's 18 inches deep, so it's still pretty deep as far as a planted tank goes. Most planted tanks, like your 20 longs or your 40 longs that are ideal for this, are quite a bit shorter, but it's still not near as deep as the living room tank, not the 24 inches deep. But I've got 2 24 watt T5 bulbs on here, one 6500K, one plant bulb. The 48 watts, it's about the same ratio as far as watts per gallon as what I have in my living room tank, but the growth rate is completely different between these 2 tanks. Okay, so this right here in the corner, cryptocoryne spiralis back here. Alright, it's hard for you guys to get a reference point, but this is probably twice as high with twice as many new leaves as the one I've got in the living room. They were planted in the tanks at almost the exact same time. In fact, this one was planted probably about 3 or 4 days later, just because I had ordered a shipment and had to get it shipped 2 different times because Postal Service lost it. But both plants, you know, they melted away their original, or the original leaves that they had, and then you know, everything there is all new growth. But this one's growing. It's got probably twice as many new leaves on it. They've grown about twice as high. This one's grown probably, at least the longest one's grown up about 12 inches long. Had it in the tank for a little over a month, maybe. Yeah, about 5 weeks, I think. Had them both in the tank for about 5 weeks, and so this one's grown quite a bit bigger. And then the wisteria is an enormous difference. All right, yeah, my wisteria jungle. Yeah, I've talked about this wisteria in a lot of videos. I had the whole tank covered in wisteria. I have to trim it back about once a month. In fact, I trimmed it back about a month ago, back to the front of this decoration right here. Everything from here on over and about here on up is all new growth. It's grown forward a lot more. Just keeps growing and keep growing and keep growing and growing and growing. You know, I imagine every stem in that thing, or every branch in that on those plants grows probably about an inch or half an inch a day. It grows like crazy. In fact, I'm going to have to trim it back again here pretty soon. In fact, actually, you look, it's actually grown up through this decoration. It sent a branch through the decoration, through the bottom of it, and then out the top. Even though there's no light penetration in it, it still shot it through. That's probably all taken place within a week. It wasn't like that about a week ago. And then I noticed on yesterday that it was there. So that was kind of cool. But plant growth is just completely different. The growth in this tank is a whole lot faster. Like I said, I dose the exact same for this tank as I do the living room tank. But it's just, it really has a lot to do with the depth and the light penetration because of the depth. Because in fact, the hood I have on this thing is kind of a junky hood. It's what I got with the tank when I bought it off Craigslist. I've never replaced it. It's plastic, but it's all scratched up, so it should have, you know, cut down on the light penetration quite a bit. You know, I probably should replace it, but yeah, everything's going well, so no point to it. But no, I mean, just the amount of penetration from the light, the difference between that 6 inches makes, is just absolutely extraordinary. In fact, I keep these lights on less than I do the one in the living room. These lights, I've actually got it on a dual photo period. It's on for 4 hours in the morning, and then it cuts off for about 5 hours, and then it's on for another 4 hours in the evening. I do this because my wife likes to, this is in our bedroom, so my wife likes to take a nap with her daughter, lay her down for a nap in here in the middle of the afternoon. It makes it really hard for them to sleep with this light on. So I decided I'm just going to set it up for dual photo periods, and I've been doing that for probably about 6 weeks or so. And, you know, fish seem to be adjusted to it just fine. Plants are doing just fine with it. And, you know, like I said, the growth in this tank is just way, way faster than it is in the living room tank. Frustrating, because the living room tank is kind of my, not frustrating, but, you know, the living room tank is kind of my showpiece tank. This is kind of my personal private tank. I'd rather the show tank, the one in the living room, be the one that gets all the, you know, extreme growth and everything like that. But, you know, I'm not complaining. But, yeah, I just wanted to show that to you. Show you guys just a, kind of giving you an example of what difference the depth of the water makes when it comes to light penetration and plant growth. So thanks for checking it out. Have a great week, guys.